Everyone good? Good. Right. Go ahead and call this meeting to order, August 15th, 2023. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, liberty and justice. All right, good morning, all. We do have a quorum present with all 5 commissioners in attendance today. I'd like to officially welcome Commissioner Jones to the table and look forward to his first meeting today. With that, commissioners, if you've all had a chance to review the agenda, I would entertain a motion for approval.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Richards,
move to approve the agenda.
motion to approve by Commissioner Richards. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. First up on the agenda is tab A. We've got 2 public hearings today from the Planning and Zoning Department. First is the approval of resolution 2308-001, a zone map amendment from agriculture A to mineral development MD1, requested by SWCO Holdings Incorporated. We've got Megan here to give us the details. Good morning, Megan.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. Without boring you today, we're going to have a lot of copy and paste between both public hearings. So we'll make the first one a little bit more detailed and try not to waste anybody's time here today. But our first public hearing today is for a zone map amendment from agricultural to MD1. The property owner is Sweetwater Surface and the applicant is SWCO Holdings Inc. The legal description for the property is Section 9, Township 18, Range 111. The current zoning of the property is, of course, agricultural, and infrastructure that's currently in place. Of course, Green River is the fire responding district, and nearest public roads are US Highway 30 and also County Road 2, which is Old Little America Road. Project West is what this project is being known as, but they are in the process of not only working with the county, but getting things in order for Industrial Siting Council to start early next year. They are proposing at this location to build the actual soda ash processing plant. And then the next public hearing will be for the sections further south along Highway 530, where the actual solution mining areas will take place. Everybody's got in their packet just a little bit more details there, and we do have the Project West team in chambers as well that can stand for questions at the end of this public hearing. But here's a little just kind of overview. As you can see, Section 9 is in the northwest corner of this map, just a little bit to the west where you're taking the exit to go to Granger is where the process facility will be. And then again, further south is where the solution area mining will take place. Plenty of agricultural land out there. And of course, as everybody knows, there's a lot of MD1 zoning already in the area. This is well within the known sodium leasing area. So exactly where we want these type of projects to go. Proper public notice was posted by Mr. Jim Zimmerman as indicated in the site photos. And we'll briefly go through the 6 criteria for a zone map amendment. The first is amendment is consistent and compatible with the current resolution and comprehensive plan. Project West will contribute and bring a wealth of economic and community benefits to all those within Sweetwater County. Pulled just a little bit of numbers from the Project West fact sheet that has been going around. The construction and operation of Project West facility will provide significant investment to the local community with a capital cost of approximately $2.5 billion and over $84 million in local material purchases. The project will provide significant employment opportunities for construction and operation, along with jobs created in the local service industry. During construction, the project will generate approximately $104 million in local sales and use tax, and approximately $325 million in property tax over the lifetime of the project. In addition, the mining of Trona will result in approximately $15 million in mineral severance and production taxes. As I've stated before, the location of this property and existing topography is definitely where we want these projects to go within the KSLA area. Definitely the proposed zoning is allowable and is in, adjacent properties within the neighborhood of this project allows for mineral development and is nothing new to this area. So staff sees no concerns with that. When public facilities will be required under the construction phase, such as roads, drainage, potable water, sanitary sewer, things like that. The county has already been in contact with the Project West team, and they are fully aware of this and will be working through this during the construction phase of the project to make sure all the proper facilities are in this area, particularly where the facility will be located. Staff has not received any adjacent comments against this property, and staff does not foresee any negative contributions towards health, safety, or welfare to the residents of Sweetwater County. And staff does find that this request conforms with all applicable provisions of the Sweetwater County zoning resolution. When this was put out for public and agency comment, we did receive 3 comments, the first being from Lumen. And Lumen indicated that they have facilities on the southern side of Section 9. Basically, they have fiber and copper on the south side of Section 9, and on the west side, they have fiber lines located there. Wyoming Game and Fish also responded and indicated that they're looking forward to working with the Project West team to help them avoid, minimize, and mitigate project-related impacts to wildlife. And Colorado Interstate Gas Company reached out and said that they have no facilities within this area. In good fashion, Project West has already reached out to all 3 of these agency entities and are in the process of working with them just to make sure everybody's concerns and those facilities that are within the area that they're taken into consideration as they move forward with planning for construction and things like that, which is what we like to see and are grateful for that. At last week's Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted 5-0 to approve this zone map amendment. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman, and Craig Rude is in attendance with us today. And if you have any questions, he is here to answer those as well.
Thank you, Megan. Any questions for staff, commissioners? Any questions for the applicant? If not, we'll move right along. And
Mr. Chairman.
no, already asked, too late. Go ahead, Commissioner Toma.
Harassment. You'll be able to use the Granger exit then off of the interstate and then the Highway 30. It looked like that, but I couldn't really tell.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, commissioners, we will use the Granger exit for the processing facility. It will be located off the old, I think it's County Road 2 off of the old Little America Highway. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions, commissioners? Thanks, Greg. We will go ahead and open this up for a public hearing on the approval of resolution 2308-001 zone map amendment from agriculture to mineral development requested by TC Soda Holdings Incorporated. there's anyone online or in the audience that would like to speak to this resolution, now would be the appropriate time. Seeing and hearing none, we will go ahead and close the public hearing. And Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Richards,
I'd move to approve resolution 23-08-ZO-01 for approval of a zoning map amendment from agriculture to mineral development requested by TC Soda Holdings, Inc.
you have a motion to approve resolution 23-08-ZO-01 by Commissioner Richards. Do we have a second?
Mr.
Second.
Chairman,
Got a second by Commissioner Slaughter. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Next up is resolution 23-08-ZO-02, zone map amendment from agriculture to mineral development requested by TC Soda Holdings Incorporated. And turn it back to Megan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, I'll just kind of go over the differences on this one. The property owner for where the solution mining will actually take place is UNA Development Company. Again, TC Soda Holdings is the applicant, and the legal description for the areas requesting this zone map amendment is sections 5, 9, 11, 13, 15, and 21, all within Township 16 North, Range 110 West. Current zoning's agricultural, and nearest public roads down in that area of the county are Wyoming Highway 530 and County Road 1, which is the McKinnon Road. Without beating a dead horse with this, everything that I'm talking about is pertaining due to the solution mining area. And as you can see, there is existing mineral development zoning within this area too. One unique thing that the applicant has requested, and staff thinks it's a great idea, is that once the bond is released from the state for funding for the project, the land will go back or will revert back to the agricultural zone. So it won't be staying MD1 forever. This is good news. Also, Project West is planning on completely reclaiming the area so that it can go back and be used for agricultural purposes and such with that. So that will be the condition that you will see at the end that staff has proposed, and also the P&Z is recommending as well. I'm just going to jump to the only different comments that we received. The criteria is pretty much the same between both locations. We did again receive comments from Wyoming Game and Fish, but the biggest comment that we did receive was from Colorado Interstate Gas Company. They do have a 28-inch diameter high pressure steel natural gas pipeline that runs diagonally through sections 11 and 13. They have indicated that the project may have subsidence areas that may affect their pipeline, and they would recommend that Colorado Interstate Gas and TC Soda work closely together to help mitigate and determine if there are any effects, if any, on this pipeline. They are also requesting that if any new roads go into the area, that they cross their easements as close to 90 degrees as possible. And any utilities that will need to cross as well will be at a minimum of 2 feet below their pipeline. Railroad tracks will also need to cross as close to 90 degrees as possible. And they also would request a schedule of proposing mining activities just to help for planning for future mitigation. And in good fashion and good start to the project, Project West has already reached out and is working with Colorado Interstate Gas on coordinating these efforts between the two companies, which is what we like to see and appreciate that as well. At the August 9th, 2023 Planning and Zoning Commission, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted 5-0 to approve this zone map amendment with the one staff condition as presented. That staff condition is it will be the responsibility of the plant manager at such time to notify staff when the bonding has been released from the state for each section. Staff will then revert the zoning back to agricultural for each section as they are notified. That is all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Megan. Any questions for staff on this resolution, commissioners? Any questions for the applicant?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Slaughter.
for O's and Craig, with respect to the comments from Colorado Interstate Gas Company, obviously we see these types of issues in anytime you're doing this type of construction. Does this seem to provide any special type of need? I see you've answered the letter, and Megan said that you have been in contact with them. Is there anything that would be out of the ordinary with respect to this in this scenario?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Slaughter, no, we don't believe so. We're working with several gas operators. There's corridors in both areas that we're working with, and we were working with CIG before their public comments. So nothing unusual. We just started working on where we're going to cross and how we're going to cross and the engineering around that. We've got our engineering team as well as their engineering team working on it. So, but nothing unusual.
Okay, great. Thank you. So,
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Tillman.
what about the access again? Were you accessing off the interstate or 530 or?
So the access will be off of the interstate eventually. Right now, the current right of way is off of 530, but we'll be accessing off the interstate. After the construction, there'll be minimal access. It won't be like the plant where there'll be all day daily access. So a little less traffic out there. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions, commissioners? I just want to say, we appreciate your guys' community involvement. I mean, early on, you reached out and set up meetings with us all. Looks like, throughout this process, you've been open and transparent with working together with, some of those that have brought issues such as CNG and, wanting to ensure that everyone's on the same page moving forward. It's an exciting project to bring into Sweetwater County, and we're anxious to have it here. So we appreciate the investment and look forward to all the revenue it's going to bring in.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're excited. We've been doing this technology in Turkey for quite a while, and we're excited to bring it to Southwest Wyoming and open up those Trona reserves south of Green River that haven't been accessed yet. So as many of you know, Jenner's been involved in Sweetwater County for 10 years now, and we're a good community partner, like to be involved in the community and like to do things with a lot of transparency. So we've got our industrial siting meetings this week, and excited to come out and learn more about the project. We've got some great displays and our whole team's there, so we can answer anything about the project. So we'll be in Green River tomorrow night and then Rock Springs Thursday night. So be excited to have people come out. Thank you.
I think that's great. A lot of, especially us campaigners up here, always preach economic development, and it takes industry like yourselves to expand on that. And I think this is big, exciting news for Sweetwater County. So we look forward to helping make it happen.
Well, thank you. We appreciate you guys' support.
Any other comments, questions, commissioners? Hearing none, we will go ahead and open up the public hearing on resolution 2308Z002. Zone map amendment from agriculture to mineral development requested by SWCO Holdings Incorporated. This time, if there's anyone in the audience or online that would like to speak to this resolution, now would be the appropriate time. Hearing and seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Toman.
I would like to approve resolution 2308Z002, a zone map amendment from agriculture to mineral development MD1 requested by SWCO Holdings, Inc.
Do you have a motion to approve resolution 2308Z002 by Commissioner Toman? Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Richards. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Thank you all very much. We look forward to it.
See you later this week.
Thank you again.
Next up on the agenda is county resident comments and concerns. At this time, if there's any member of the public, either in the audience or online, that would like to address the governing body on any issue whatsoever, now would be the appropriate time. Morning, Mr. Davis.
Good morning, commissioners. I have to apologize. The reason I'm here is the Interstate Irrigation Reservoir Irrigation District, which is down in McKinnon. It composes of 19 property tax accounts down in that area. That group in 2018, 2019 actually went out to the state of Wyoming. I think it was the Department of Agricultural or the Department of Water, and got a either low interest or no interest loan to improve their irrigation system down there. And when they did that, they created this district, and this district has to notify the county assessor to add an assessment on the property taxes. Now, it's not based on a mill levy, and it's not based on value. It's based on irrigable acres, which doesn't sound like a word, but I'm sure it is. This has come to us every year since 2019. And John pointed out, or Mr. De Leon pointed out, that once the budget is approved by the district court, which has happened, then they are to notify parent assessment roll and present the same to the Board of County Commissioners of Sweetwater County, who shall act on the same and direct it to the Sweetwater County assessor as provided by law. So we've been doing this work since 2019. Really, it's just a dollar amount we add to these 19 accounts. They pay it at the same time they pay their property tax bill. It's all worked fine, but after John has actually started reading the fine print, it actually requires an action from the county, the Board of County Commissioners, I guess, to approve us authorizing this on the tax bill. And again, I apologize. We probably should have been doing this for every year since 2019. The first year, they kind of sprung it on us, not at the last minute, but almost at the last second. But we were able to get it done and get it on the tax bills that year. But I think what we're looking for today is just a motion and approval from the Board of County Commissioners to allow me to add this information to the tax bill. And it's odd that it says the assessor when the treasurer is actually the one that actually creates the tax bill, but that's the language in the statute. So it does come to me, it comes to you. And the 19 accounts, it's really not a burden at all to put these on this. It's really simple. We've already got it done. We just need your approval since the statute seems to require it.
What was that district? Did I hear it right? The Reservoir Interstate Irrigation District?
It's more complicated than that. It is
Interstate
the
irrigation.
Interstate Irrigation and Reservoir Irrigation District. I like your version better.
Any questions, commissioners? If not, I would entertain a motion for the assessor to prepare the assessment roll for the Interstate Irrigation and Reservoir and Irrigation District.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Slaughter. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Richards. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it. Still under county resident comments and concerns.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Ashley Davis. I'm a resident in Rock Springs, and my daughter plays for a U12 girls soccer team. It's a fairly new team. It was part of a prior club. They have played together. She has played with them for the last year, and it's called Wyoming Elite. So it's a new soccer club. They submitted a user agreement request for Crossroads Soccer Facility. Per Mr. Legursky, this was not denied. The permit or the request was not denied. However, there's another user using that facility that has blocked out and been granted use from August 1st to November 1st from 4 p.m. to dark, Monday through Friday. It's my understanding, without looking at that agreement, that it's not specific, meaning it doesn't say they get to use all of the soccer fields or they get to use a specific number. The request from WYO Elite was to use one field for approximately 1.5 hours, Monday through Friday. WYO Elite has been asking, essentially, we are asking to start at 4:15 p.m. and use the fields until 6 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So 3 days that per week that's being requested. The team has practiced throughout the summer on those fields, and there were no issues during that time. However, the other user did contact Coach Misty Hay last week, told her team could no longer use the fields in that location. I did have a chance briefly to visit with Mr. Legursky yesterday. He's been very helpful to myself and to Coach Hay as well. During those discussions, he did use the term, it's an open use or free use facility, meaning anyone can go there. And there are other people there, whether it's an adult soccer league or families that go and play on the fields during different times. I think the question kind of becomes whether the user that has use of the fields should be or has the authority to tell others not to be there. And until this incident, it's not something that I'm aware of happening. So according to Mr. Legursky, this has not been an issue with the soccer fields previously. It's something new that's come up this year because there is a second team that's requested use. I believe the other user did submit a request in April. And at that time, the team that my daughter is playing on, Wyoming Elite, was actually part of that club. And so they've historically used these fields early, 4:15 to 5 or 5:30 instead of doing a later practice. And in looking at the current schedule, we know that the boys U14 team is playing on Tuesdays and Thursdays. They're practicing from 6 to 8 p.m. There's a boys U8 team that's using them on Mondays and Wednesdays from 6:15 to 7:15 p.m. There's a boys U10 team using them on Mondays and Wednesdays from 6:30 to 7:30. And there's a boys high school team on Mondays and Wednesdays also practicing from 6 to 7:30 p.m. There's a girls U12 team using them Mondays and Wednesdays, and potentially will add Fridays from 6 to 7:30. A girls U10 team using them Monday and Wednesday from 5:15 to 6:30. The U12 boys we know are practicing on Tuesday and Thursday, but I don't know the time of their practices. And then there's a U8 girls Monday and Wednesday, 5:45 to 6:45, depending on how they are laid out, because sometimes they're laid out differently. Especially when there's a tournament. The Avengers put on a tournament in the fall and the spring and mark fields, and it just depends on how many teams are playing, but there's approximately 8 fields. So quite a bit of space, considering the request is for one team and knowing how much later the other teams are practicing. So with the current usage, there is time available to schedule the use that's being requested. And however, I think that the ability for Wyoming Elite to schedule that directly with the other user is pretty limited at this time due to the relationship between those parties. There is a current baseball and softball team where there's a similar situation at Crossroads where they have worked together, been able to both use those facilities at the same time, both have user agreements. And that's essentially what we're asking for. So we're requesting for one team of 9 to 10-year-old girls to have permission to use one field Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. It's a beautiful facility. It's a single-use facility, meaning it is made for soccer. That portion is. It's not a private facility. The players on these teams and their families are Sweetwater County residents. Their families live here. They pay taxes here. And it would be greatly appreciated if they can use the county facilities that were built for that purpose to do so. And I don't know if Coach Misty Hay has anything else she might want to add.
Hi, I'm Misty Hay, coach of the team that she was discussing. I've also been a coach for the previous club that she mentioned for right at 12, 13 years. I've used the field for the team that for 4:15 start time for an hour and a half at night, and it's not been an issue. It's my team's the only one that goes out early. The other teams don't usually start till 5:30 or later, and so that's been the request of and in talking to Jean and talking to Rob and talking to Island, that we would be able to use it at that earlier time when it wouldn't conflict with the other teams that are already currently going there, and only using one field. We're not requesting the full facility. So if there was something that we could put in place that would easily schedule teams and or other activities amongst the field, because it is a large facility, able to be host to several different teams. And In knowing that, I've also been the tournament director and have started our tournaments here in the county and fall and spring. And so I know the different configuration that we've had for excuse me, for field setup and different things like that, and know the space and availability that's out there. So just asking that if we can please look at use, and there's a way that we can all fit on the fields and make it usable to both teams. Thank you.
Questions or comments, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Slaughter?
as liaison to the Public Works Department, I believe I was brought into this discussion, both with Ms. Hay and with our Public Works Director, Gene Legursky. And in looking back at the email thread that originally came out with respect to this, it seems to fall on the issue of whether the facilities use agreement, which was signed originally, dictates that no one else can use that facility at this point in time. I believe that our facilities use director is of the opinion that that is the case. His suggestion, and if I'm wrong, please let everyone know that I've misspoken. But his indication to the teams was first to try and have them talk this out and see if they could work it out together. Apparently, because of the issues that have gone on between the teams and how this has transpired, that is not really a possibility. So yesterday I had further conversations with Ms. Hay and with Mr. Legursky. And so it was at my recommendation that they come to the full Board of County Commissioners and bring this to our attention so that we could potentially address this prior to the time where a new facilities use agreement is going to be entered next year. So for the time from the 1st of August till the end of the year, I believe that their request is reasonable. I think that we should try to help facilitate the use of this facility. And if it's not being used, it seems foolish to me that we can't do that. Now, that being said, I realize that sometimes it doesn't work that easily, but I would see this somewhat similarly to what we had with respect to our Cub Scout issue. And we could not come to an agreement there. The county had a policy which at that point in time seemed to be a little bit too harsh. And we were able to amend that and come to a resolution. I think as a board member, I would like to see our board look at doing the same type of analysis of what's going on with this. And if it comes down to the point where we need to help facilitate between these entities, or if we can try and give some guidance, once again, I would be more than happy to try and fulfill that role and do that, because I think it seems to me this is another of those issues that there's a miscommunication. And if we could get better communication, that it would be relatively easily resolved. So that was my feeling on getting this brought to our board. I would like to see us once again address this and see if we can't come up with something prior to going into the winter where we can address this fully and be prepared for the contracts to be signed for next year.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Richards?
Commissioner Slaughter, have you spoken to Avengers Soccer at all?
I have not.
Mr. Chairman, I think that's probably the first step. I think it's clear they're not using our entire facility, though they've reserved the entire facility. And I think as good neighbors, they should step up and allow another team to use those facilities, their community facilities. And I think the first step is our good commissioner asking them to do that before we have to take more clear action.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Richards, that would have been my intent. I wanted to bring this before the board to see what the feeling of the board was prior to doing that. But that certainly would be the next thing that I would look at doing.
So I've got kind of a long history with this, being on the rec board over a decade ago. And we've had this agreement with the Avengers Club because it was successful and there were no other issues. There weren't any other teams to speak of that that needed the facility, much like has been mentioned with softball teams. At times there is, differing, leagues or whatever that use these fields. And I find it a little bit ridiculous, if I'm being honest, that it has to come up to this level. I mean, we've got two organizations that obviously have a dispute between each other. We've got a park superintendent, a public works director, a liaison over those, and then our board. And I just feel like, whatever that difference is, we're being tasked with being the mediators on the situation. And I think that's unnecessary. I mean, yeah, it's a county park, but it's odd to me that we have to stop and, figure out how to try and make peace between two organizations that can't seem to get along. My understanding is the Avengers has tried to offer times to Wyoming Elite, and those times weren't accepted, but I don't really care to get into the details. I don't really think that's our place to an extent, but it makes me nervous because you all are getting the same emails we are just about monthly about, a multi-use facility, and we need more attraction to bring into Sweetwater County to host bigger events. And we have a beautiful Crossroads soccer field that we've got two organizations that can't even agree on how to share. And yet we want to invest into, more facilities to bring in to host events and still have these same issues. I think it's ridiculous. And, the kids are the ones that suffer the most from it, but I really feel like this should be handled at a staff level. I don't think it has to come from action from a board of county commissioners to tell them what they can and can't do. The facility use agreement is in place, and it's there for a reason. Now, why they can't figure out a way to work together, I don't know, but I just find it odd that it has to come to this level for us to find the peace. So I would ask that either of those work together and put their differences aside to do what's best for the children. And, no one wants government in their life until they do. And here we are dealing with whether or not we can share a park. And this isn't the only situation. We're dealing with similar events at the Trap Club and the shooting ranges, and, recreation is big in Sweetwater County, and we're met with all these disputes similar to Boy Scouts and what we can and can't do. And we have to draw the line in the sand. And I just find that to be kind of a shame. I think we're better than that. We can all be bigger people that doesn't have to have government tell us what we can and can't do. But that's my 2 cents.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Jones.
I just have a question. I don't really know who it's geared towards, but I guess it kind of fall on your coattails a little bit and follow up with what you're saying. But I just wonder if there isn't another facility that can be used, whether it's you all or some Avengers teams, whatever the case may be. I guess my concern might be that, well, I don't know the story behind why you all can't get along. I really don't care to know. But I wonder if there isn't enough of a conflict that actually having the two teams that can't see eye to eye and can't have a conversation, if it's a good idea to put them in the same facility at the same time. So is there another option of where somebody can practice? I understand sometimes it has to do with the size of the field and there are different things like that, but is there another option other than Crossroads, or is that the only option we have in Sweetwater County? Come up so we can hear you.
So there are other options, and I don't think that it's not necessarily that we can't get along. There's multiple people on that board that I'm great friends with. It's just the conflict on times where the field is actually saying reserved in their use. So to say not getting along, I don't think is maybe necessarily accurate with 100% of the group there. That's not true. Get along great with a lot of them. It's just that it's being reserved for a time that's actually not being used. And so we're asking if we can go there. So we actually have scrimmages and games set up with a bunch of the other Avengers teams that we're going to be doing and get along great with them. Multiple of my parents on our current team has kids still in Avengers. As a matter of fact, the other coach has a kid in Avengers still. So it still is, we still have lines crossing in both directions. It just wasn't an instance where we needed to separate for this group of girls. We have looked at other fields, and we've practiced some at some other city fields and have had some options there. However, city has RSSA, and so they are going to be starting that. I think it's within 3 weeks. I'm not sure their exact date. They start RSSA practice, and so then at that point, those fields are busy. There's not really a school field that is the size without enormous gopher holes or that hasn't been maintained where it's going to be a safety hazard for the girls being out. We have gone and looked at several different fields where we could be. The other conflict is currently is football youth football in Rock Springs is using quite a few of the fields. And so most of the school fields or veterans, the field, it's by the parish center. I don't know what that field is called, that small school. That one's used by football. So most of the grass fields are being used by football at the current time, which is pretty much, nice weather in Rock Springs and when we can be outside. So, I mean, we're not asking to impose on them. I have their practice schedules. When they're out there, we're just asking to be able to be out there at that either 4 or 4:15 time for an hour and a half and not step on toes to where these other teams, as Ashley listed all of the times to you guys, if you prefer me to type it up and get it to you guys, I can, so you can see what their practice days and times are. We're not asking to be out there over their times. And I think you mentioned not kicking us off the field. However, it is in the Avengers meetings, meeting minutes that if Misty Hay is caught on the field, that they are to contact Dustin Moses and remove us from the fields. So that's kind of our question of how can that happen on a county park? And if we're not overlapping their timeframes, then it really shouldn't matter if we're there or not. So thank you.
No, I never mentioned anything about kicking anyone off of a field. I was just trying to explain that they do have the exclusive right from that time frame that was approved, but outside of that, anyone can use that park at any time. So I don't.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Richards.
while I know that agreement does give exclusive right to those time periods, I believe the intent of that would be while they're actually using those fields. I mean, nothing prohibits families and kids from going out and using those fields when the Avengers is not actually utilizing them. But that does bring them up the next project. Their current practice schedules are what they are. But I have a long history of coaching a team out there also. And as fall came, we moved our practice times up and up. Do you foresee that becoming a conflict, that these 6 o'clock practices could be moved up and conflict with your 4 o'clock practices?
Realistically, we're only and by then tournaments
Mr. Chairman, I again reiterate, I have faith that our liaison to Public Works can have some conversations, and of course I'll offer my time to help him do that if he needs it. I hope some of this can be solved with simple conversations and not require official involvement by us.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Tillman.
Well, I just recommend to Mr. Slaughter, maybe he work with Mr. Legursky to redo that agreement where it states in there, you have certain fields and certain times and only when you're going to be using it, not a blanket 4 to 7 or something like that. Maybe you can tighten up the agreements.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Tolman, I believe that is the intent. The problem is this is a contract that has currently been signed, and our intent will be to modify that agreement so that we resolve this issue moving forward into next year's timeframe.
Maybe have a clause, if you can't get along, you won't use it.
Any other comments, commissioners? Well, Rob, I think that gives you a lot of direction to work with.
Gee, thank you very much. No, I think we're good, Mr. Chairman. I think we're in a position where we can move forward. And I will make some phone calls and try and facilitate some better dialogue, hopefully, and come to a conclusion that will be beneficial for all.
Very good. Thanks, Ashley and Misty, for coming over. Appreciate it. Still under the public comment portion of the agenda. If there's anyone else that would like to address the governing body, now is your time. Hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the public comment portion of the agenda. That brings us up to tab B, the consent agenda. We've got 14 items today. First being the approval of the August 1st, 2023 minutes, the approval of the county vouchers, warrants, the EALs and the commissioners report, approval of monthly reports, approval of bonds, approval of abates and rebates, a pre-employment agreement with the Sweetwater County Sheriff's Office, a request to restaff 7 positions, I believe, a vacant custodial position, a position in the treasurer's office, position in the clerk's office as an accounting clerk, another position in the clerk's office as an election clerk, a position in the Veteran Services Office, a detention officer and the detention center, and to restaff a position in the detention center as a detention sergeant and detention officer. And lastly, there to ratify the CLG comments on the SGIT Sage Grouse Core Map revision. Lots to take in there, commissioners. If you've all had a chance to review these items and you don't have any questions, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Richards,
move to approve the consent agenda.
do you have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented by Commissioner Richards? Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, it just concerns me to see that we are doing as many additions to our county staff, which obviously leads to the point that we've had many people who've been leaving. And I just think that it's, well, I think it's sad to see this taking place. I think, you know, the county is a great place to work, and I don't know the reason that all these people are leaving, but to see 7 of them that we're dealing with at this point in time in one agenda is just a little disconcerting to me. And I just wanted to make that point.
Well said, Commissioner. Any other comments? Hearing none, we do have a motion and a second on the table. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Moving right along is commissioner comments. Looks like I'm up first. On August 2nd, I attended the monthly mayor and commissioners meeting put on by the Rock Springs Chamber. We were all in attendance this month, which was the first time in a couple with everyone's busy schedules. So that was good to catch up with our neighboring partners. We mainly spoke about the various vacant buildings throughout our communities, such as the Carnegie Library, the UP Depot, and First Security Bank. Collectively, there seem to be some similarities among the governments in wanting to move forward with addressing some of these vacant buildings. So it'd be interesting to see where things end up. Aside from that, much of the discussion was centered around ambulance service and some of the issues being brought to all of our attention, which I'll elaborate on here shortly. I did attend the Wyoming Big Show a couple different nights and wanted to give a shout out to a job well done by the events complex board and staff. Everything appeared to be very well organized and some good attendance. And the fireworks display was probably one of the best I've seen. I don't know. I read that article yesterday that said that they moved it up closer, so maybe it was just the feel of it, but a job well done. Our Recreation Facilities Committee met last Tuesday and we recapped the Wyoming State Shooting Complex Oversight Task Force's meeting that was held on July 14th, where the task force heard a presentation from the National Shooting Sports Federation. There was lots of good information and statistics on that. And some of the successful shooting sports complexes throughout our region that helped shed some light on determining the best location for a highly sought after recreational opportunity. Should be more to come on that in the future, but it was nice to learn more about the potential draw these facilities bring with a variety of different shooting events, many I've never even heard of. I get the sense the outcome of that award will be all about location, which is what our committee currently continues to wrestle with on the Sweetwater front. I have not had any liaison meetings between our last meeting and now, so it was relatively light, dealt with some HR issues here and there as the liaison to that, but probably the biggest obstacle that we continue to, I guess, be reached out to is in regards to ambulance service. And I just kind of wanted to have some comment on that because there seems to be a little bit of confusion. We're getting hit with sometimes daily, but if not weekly, calls from concerned members of the community, whether that's constituents or, governmental partners. Some of us have heard from, ambulance service staff that has brought, morale concerns and issues that's going on there. And I just think it would be important for us to explain the contractual relationship that this board has with Castle Rock Hospital District. And perhaps some of that confusion is because it was never made public, but it should have been. And I think we as a Board of County Commissioners all share the same concerns, and we want to ensure that there is a reliable service there for the constituents. But the day-to-day operations need to be handled by the Castle Rock Hospital District and their management. And we're getting a lot of that, and it feels like a micromanaged approach where I don't really think that's our place to, go in and research the call logs and try and figure out what could have, been better here or there. I believe those concerns need to be addressed with the appropriate party. And in my conversations with a few, constituents, I've just kind of shared that it's quite similar to, the emergency department at Memorial Hospital. I can't imagine if we received complaints from employees within that department on a weekly basis. It seems like that would be, better suited through hospital staff or the hospital board. So, our obligation with that contract is obviously heavily financial. But the obligation is with the district in providing the service. And so, we want to ensure that it's successful and that everyone's taken care of in this community. But outside of that, it is a 5-year contract. We've got 1 year under the belt. It does expire in June of 2027. And I think, collectively, everyone wants it to be successful. And there's going to be some growing pains along the way. We hope we can minimize those, and we're going to continue to keep an eye on them and work together. But, from an operational standpoint, I just think that we need to give the district a fair chance to address those and speak out to those. We have had several conversations with their board, their management. I don't think it's anything that's going to go away, but it seems unfair to essentially cut them out of it and expect us to dive into the details on that. So I just want the public to be aware that that is their obligation, and hopefully we can improve that moving forward. But I think trying to, boost morale in a department that we don't oversee is a tough ask. So those are my comments for this report, commissioners, and I'd stand for any questions. If not, Commissioner Slaughter, you're up next.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I would like to echo your sentiments with respect to the hospital district. As you well know, I've been a party to a lot of those discussions, and I think that the direction that you've provided and the information that you've just given is extremely accurate and the correct way for us to move forward with respect to that issue. On the 2nd of August, I was not able to attend the Memorial Hospital regular board meeting, but I arranged with Irene Richardson to review the high points on Thursday, the 3rd. In her report to me, she reported on the work that has been done on the infectious control plan and evaluation. She stated that 944 people have completed the Plain Tree Person-Centered Care Workshop. She reported on her presentation, which she gave to us at our last commission meeting. She announced that the hospital had been ranked #1 statewide in social responsibility. They are preparing currently for their annual audit, and stated that rather than having a picnic this year, they will be having a fall festival. It will be holding several events and will be held Thursday, October 19th at the County Events Complex from 4 to 7 p.m. On 8/3, I met with Dwight Bliss of the Conservation District to help provide him information on the prospective collaboration effort with the Ashley National Forest. It was his belief that it would make sense for the Conservation District to join us in our collaborative effort rather than seeking a collaborative effort on their own. He was going to report back to the Conservation District. That day, I also met with Castle Rock Hospital District Trustee Sandy Gunner to discuss recent concerns that had come to the ambulance service. We had a very productive discussion. That afternoon, I met with Granger Mayor Hippie Valerio to help him further understand the process moving forward on the specific purpose tax issue. I believe I was able to allay some of the fears that he had concern with. That night, Mariella and I attended the Sweetwater County Fair and had an excellent time. The weather cooperated and we were able to do a lot of people watching and had conversations with several other fair attendees. I heard many positive comments about the experience in general. On the 4th, we once again spent the evening at the fair and really enjoyed it. I was able to help the hospital pass out t-shirts from the stage prior to the concert. Fans were very excited and seemed truly appreciative. Spent most of the night at the Buckle Club and really enjoyed the concert. A big thank you to Candy and her crew. Heard nothing but positive comments from the people that I talked to during the fair. On the 7th, I met with Brian Seppi of the Joint Powers Water Board. I helped Brian review the Joint Powers Water Board investment portfolio and helped him with some suggestions. We then had a great discussion about the status of water in the county and the effect that our extremely wet winter and all of the rain this summer has had. He then once again gave me an overview of his perspective on water issues moving forward in the county. As always, it was very informative. Later that day, I participated in the Title 25 quarterly meeting. In it, a stimulating discussion took place on violent and dangerous titled patients. On the 8th, I participated with a Memorial Hospital group along with Commissioner Jones and John DeLeon to review the contract proposal drafted by Attorney DeLeon to address the distribution change from a mill levy allocated for the hospital to an intergovernmental transfer from the county 12 mill levy. There was confusion and it was suggested that Hospital Attorney Jeff Phillips and Attorney DeLeon massage the agreement and get back to the full group. That afternoon, I had a meeting with a small working group that had been suggested by Bond Underwriting Counsel for Stiefel Financial Services, Alan Matlos of Stiefel, Ryan Jardine, Bond Counsel for Q-Tech Rock, Matt McBurnett of the City of Rock Springs, and myself discussed the procedures necessary as we move forward on the bond sale to provide revenue to fund the specific purpose tax projects. It was a great lead in for me for the regular meeting of the Joint Powers Board that has been established to provide oversight for the funded projects scheduled for August 10th. On the 10th, we held the regularly scheduled specific purpose tax meeting. With my appointment to fill Commissioner Shanefeld's seat, I was also elected to fill the role as chairman of the Joint Powers Board. We further discussed the schedule moving forward and reaffirmed the desire for bonding for the specific entities. We also approved the small working group to continue working with Bond Counsel on a weekly basis. On the 11th, I met with Brian Wilson of the Ashley National Forest. Public Works Director Legursky and I showed him the office space available at the Roosevelt School Building. He was very excited and felt that this space would provide an excellent area for Ashley to expand his presence in Green River. He also once again relayed the excitement that he and Susan Eichhoff feel moving forward with the concept of collaboration between our entities. I told him we would discuss the rental of the office space and get back to him as soon as possible. On the 14th, I attended a special meeting of Memorial Hospital Board in which they approved a memorandum of understanding to approve the proposed methodology for payment of hospital funding under the new plan proposed by the county. I really appreciate the willingness of the hospital board in working to a resolution that will satisfy the needs and desires of both entities. We will have the MOU to review and ratify at our next scheduled board meeting. Later, I attended the Farson Monthly Luncheon and had discussion with several residents of that community. Had a great lunch and got a different perspective on issues that are taking place in the northern part of the county. Returned to town yesterday afternoon to become embroiled in several other small issues that are taking place that also will need our attention in the future. I look forward to Art on the Green and Riverfest in Green River this weekend. And last but not least, I'm pleased to welcome Commissioner Jones to fill out our fivesome here. And I would stand for any questions.
Thanks, Commissioner. Any questions for Commissioner Slaughter? If not, Commissioner Toman, you're up next.
I don't know, I can't outrun that report, but anyway, I did receive a call from Bridger Fates from UW Extension, informing us that the Extension will be working to hire a new 4-H educator, and when they get some applicants, they will come before the commission to let us visit with them also. The process is to open it to in-state current employees, and then it will be advertised however they advertise, I guess. August 3rd, I attended the Zoom meeting for Dry Creek Trona, their monthly update for cooperators. They're waiting for the air quality report that should come out mid-October. They're anticipating the preliminary decision environmental impact statement to be out in mid-November. I did attend the Sweetwater County Fair and concerts, and it, as the other commissioners have stated, it was a great event. So thank you to the staff and to Candy. Appreciate all of your hard work, and to their board. August. I keep saying October, but I don't think it's quite there yet, but it's getting there. It's getting cooler at night. August 5th, I attended the Farson Stephen Valenda Harn's 50th anniversary party at the community center with the Sundowner Band. Great turnout, and congratulations to that couple. August 7th, I attended the Rock Springs Grazing Association as members of that association. The information that came from that the Aggie Grazing did not have a land sale. Their isolated parcels are not going to bring the money that they're hoping. So until we hear Plan B, there was no sale. August 9th, I attended airport board meeting via Zoom. They're always working and progressing, and they're working on their master plan and some other projects out there. August 10th, I had an interview on Zoom with an author from the Federalist Papers regarding grizzly bears and how we had to live with them. August 12th, again, a personal video interview for Wyoming Cowboy Hall of Fame, in which my father has been inducted into that. August 14th, the Farson Senior Lunch. We welcomed Commissioner Slaughter and Taylor, and it was great for them to be able to listen to what constituents from the Farson area are talking about. Upcoming, we have our Coalition of Local Government meeting on Thursday, and that same afternoon, the Rock Springs Office of the Bureau of Land Management has announced a cooperator meeting regarding that resource management plan that we didn't think would ever get done, but they're moving forward. This will be our last cooperator meeting where we will see what they are proposing, and then it will go public. August 28th, Ashley National Forest is doing the same thing, a final cooperator meeting in Vernal, which I hope Eric and Rob and I will be able to attend to see and hear about the changes they've proposed in their plan, and then it will go public before it goes final. Project West, I want to remind the public that those open houses will be, as I said, Green River at the Hampton on Wednesday, and in Rock Springs at, I believe it's a Holiday Inn on Thursday. Let's see. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner Toman, and congratulations for the Hall of Fame induction of your father. Very cool. Any questions for Commissioner Toman? If not, Commissioner Richards, you're up next.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, fellow commissioners. First of all, I want to extend my heartfelt welcome to Commissioner Jones. Congratulations on your appointment, and welcome to the Sweetwater County Board of County Commissioners. My ringer's always on, door's always open for you, and I look forward to working with you in the coming months and years. Looking back, my meeting load has been relatively light for the last couple of weeks. First off, I spent an entire week after our last commissioners meeting out at the Wyoming's Big Show, and I have to say that Candy and her entire team out there put on a fantastic event with great entertainment all around, and culminating with some of the best fireworks I've ever seen too. And if you didn't already know, those fireworks were all American made, which makes me even more proud of our fair. I guess the only downside to such a great week is that I don't know how they are going to top it next year, but I have full faith that they will. So congratulations and hats off to everyone from the events complex. Job well done. On the morning of the 8th, I met with the Recreation Facilities Committee, where we watched the NSSF's presentation to the State Shooting Sports Task Force, and we just discussed other things that came from their last meeting. We are planning to arrange a field trip to the Cameo Shooting Complex in Grand Junction in the near future, so we can see firsthand what a world-class shooting sports complex looks like and how it operates. The state legislature has released a survey asking for information from the public on what's sports and facilities they'd like to see in a state shooting sports complex. Local media has shared the link, and Sweetwater County has shared it on their social media as well. So I encourage everyone to track it down and fill it out. This is the first opportunity in the process to tell the state task force what we want a shooting sports complex in Wyoming to look like. Later that day, I participated in a phone call with a representative from yet another planned industrial expansion into Sweetwater County, this one near Wamsutter. They're hoping to start construction sometime in 2025. So that is even more great news. I connected him with Kayla at the SEDC so they could open the lines of communication and participate in providing us information about upcoming workforce impacts. So good things are happening in Sweetwater County. On the 9th, I attended the regular meeting of the Sweetwater County Planning and Zoning, where they worked on the 2 zone changes we addressed this morning, facilitating a new trona mine here in Sweetwater County. Yet another great thing happening here. And they also worked on amending and streamlining their bylaws, which are pretty outdated. And I appreciate the hard work that board and the land use department does for us and for the county. On the 14th, Treasurer Cowan joined Mr. DeLeon and I meeting with the library director and the chairman of the library board regarding the proposed budget agreement between us and them. We had a great discussion, and I think we allayed some concerns they had with some of the language in the agreement and the need for it. Since I'll be on vacation when they meet next week, Treasurer Cowan is planning to attend their board meeting so he can explain how the funding mechanism is going to work in the future. So I appreciate his willingness to do that. Other than several constituent contexts, that's my last 2 weeks in a nutshell. I'll be pretty much off grid for the next week while I join my family for a much needed vacation in Yellowstone. So I will miss this month's fair board meeting in addition to the library board meeting I already mentioned. But I will be back for our Board of Equalization hearings beginning on the 23rd. On the 26th, I'll be joining the SWCO stakeholders on a Flaming Gorge bus tour hosted by Sweetwater County Travel and Tourism, and I am really looking forward to it and the chance to learn new things about the gorge. On the 28th, I'll attend a Joint Powers Communications meeting, and on the 30th and 31st, KO Fairgrounds planners will be in town working with the Fairgrounds board and staff to develop their master plan. So I plan on participating with that as much as possible. I think that's all I have for you, Mr. Chairman, and I'm happy to stand for any questions.
Thanks, Commissioner. Any questions for Commissioner Richards? If not, enjoy the vacation. And Commissioner Jones, your official first report.
All right, thank you. First, I'd like to thank the Sweetwater GOP for putting me in a position to be in the final 3. And then, of course, you 4 for selecting me to fill this seat. I appreciate your trust and your faith in me. I'll do everything I can to make sure you're glad you picked me. My report will be pretty brief. First of all, it's going to be a lot of ditto of what everybody else has already said. So I would like to take a second though and thank all the folks in the county who helped me kind of get situated, Sally, and I'm not going to name everybody, but a variety of people helped me get my badge set up, computers, office. Everybody was really helpful. Some of the finer points that we got hammered out was things like a phone and a great phone number. And so a couple days after being sworn in, I attended the Pulse meeting, which was pretty much centered around the future expansions and the needs in the county. Pretty interesting meeting. I think there'll be obviously a lot going on there. I also enjoyed the big show. Went every night. It was amazing, as everybody else has said. I agree with Commissioner Richards. I don't know how they'll top it next year. The shows were good. The food was good. Everything that is the fair was outstanding. I did pay a fair amount of attention, just kind of standing or sitting, looking around at people to see their expressions or how much fun they weren't having. And I saw nothing but smiles. So I didn't see anything other than great reactions. I was fortunate enough to get to spend a couple of nights at the fair with a childhood friend of mine, Jim McCullum, and his daughter Royce. We also went on a side-by-side ride Sunday with Senator Kolb, and they are a Gold Star family here in Wyoming. Jim's son, Riley, tragically lost his life in Afghanistan a couple of years ago. So I love spending time with them. They're good friends, but they're just good people. And they actually are in the process of trying to move to Sweetwater County. They love it here and can't wait to be here. Did, as mentioned, had a couple of meetings with Irene and some of the folks at the hospital regarding the MOU. I went to the grand opening of the Oberlin School and what they're starting there. Commerce Bank had a barbecue at the Chambers, so I stopped by there for a while. As mentioned, we did go to Farson for the monthly luncheon yesterday. I was able to ride with Sheriff Grossnickel up and back, so that was nice. I got to spend some time with him, learn a little bit about the sheriff's department, a little more than I knew anyway. And as a side note, I was also able to see what it's like to be in a sheriff's vehicle when you pull someone over. So that was exciting. So for the most part, I was just trying to get out and about, so people had a chance to see me, bend my ear, and see what questions or concerns they might have. I am going to attend the fun run for the Sweetwater Snowpokes this Saturday in the Upper Green. If anybody would like to attend, it'll be a great time. And then we will be doing maintenance on our blind bull safety shelter all day Sunday. So I'm looking forward to getting our liaison assignments hammered out and start attending some more meetings. Any questions?
Thanks, Commissioner. Good to see you're hitting the ground running. We will go over those liaison assignments. It's pretty straightforward. You just pretty much get them all, and we're going to take a break now that you're newly on board. Any questions for Commissioner Jones, commissioners?
The muffle for the gavel is in that drawer if you need it.
I put it out and I noticed it disappeared.
Very good. Good work, commissioners. Busy couple weeks with more ahead. That will conclude the commissioner comments portion of the agenda and move us right into tab C, the action and presentation items. First up, we've got the publication of name, position, base annual salary, and amount of overtime paid to each full-time county employee and each elected official. We've got Clerk Lane here to present. Good morning, Cindy.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. As Chairman West said, pursuant to Wyoming Statute 18-3-516B, the county is required to publish the name, position, actual wages, and amounts of overtime pay paid to each full-time employee and each elected official. That was presented in your packet. So if that meets your approval, I would need a motion to approve and publish the public salary disclosure.
Any questions, commissioners?
I do have a comment, just so I might be the senior commissioner and it looks like I get a bigger salary, but I drive 60 miles at least every time I come to a meeting one way. So that's why mine looks to be larger than the rest of you.
Yeah, we're gonna need to see your expense report.
I'd like a car. I asked Gene for an old beater, but they never gave me one. So
It also goes from July 1st to June 30th, and you've been here a little longer. So you would have that adds up.
Want to be sure to take care of our senior commissioner. Any other questions, comments, commissioners?
be careful how you say senior too.
It's not how I meant it.
I know.
Hearing none, what is your pleasure, commissioners?
I'd make a motion to accept the publication of the name, position, base annual salary of an amount of overtime paid for each full-time county employee and each elected official.
You have a motion to approve by Commissioner Toman. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Richards. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Next up under tab C is item 2. Got Clerk Lane here to discuss a temporary employee.
Yes, again, good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. I did reach out after talking with several counties and working with the auditors for upcoming audit. Even though we have added some services through the auditors to help us out, we do have local things that have to happen that they cannot help us with. So until we decide what we're going to do with that position, I did reach out to 2 local staffing companies here in Sweetwater County to see if they had anybody who had accounting experience on their staff. One actually does, the other, until we have something signed, then they reach out to the individuals to see who has what type of accounting experience. So my request today is don't have anybody in mind for hiring, but in order to even begin that process, I have to have agreements with both companies or with whichever one or both, in order to start looking into who could help with the accounting until we decide how to move forward with that position. So my request today would be to have a motion to approve contracting for professional services and for the chairman to sign any corresponding documents, or if it makes it easier when we were to find somebody, if we do, a motion to approve contracting for professional services, understanding that the clerk would sign the agreement. Any questions?
Questions on the proposals, commissioners? And with a little experience, we've used some of these in my different hats. If you do find a temp employee and they work out, they do have the option of coming on full time, but obviously that's contractually restricted in some effects where you have to buy out the contract. That's an option, right?
Yes.
Just asking out of curiosity.
Yes, that is an option. I did ask about that as well. That is in here. It does, depending on how many months they work for you as a temp, lowers the cost to hire them full-time if that was to be an option in the future.
Questions, comments,
Are
commissioners?
you hopeful that they can find someone?
One of them did say they had a person who had 30 years of accounting experience and was going to school to get an official degree in accounting. So it'd be whether or not they could work that around their schedule. But again, we can't reach out until we have an agreement for them.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Slaughter?
Cindy, do you have any idea what type of, the number of hours that you would anticipate needing to use this service for? Or how are you projecting that?
I would actually think in order to learn it and be able to help, they would need to be here full time. I don't want to discuss pay out loud and things like that, but the cost would be, from our standpoint, minimal.
Full-time salary?
Yeah, but with no benefits, both companies take care of the benefits and the taxes and all of that. So they have their fee they add on, which is in this plan, to the amount, but the amount that I kind of tried to, figure out what it would be, was very reasonable.
Any other questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Richards?
I'd move to approve and authorize the chairman to sign an agreement to allow for hiring a temporary position either through Manpower or Elwood Staffing.
Do you have a motion to approve by Commissioner Richards? Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cindy. Let's see, we are
Break time.
right on time, a couple minutes behind here, so we will go ahead and take a break and resume at 10:25. We will go on break. Good talk. We good, Cindy? Okay, we were out of break. Sorry for the delay. We had some technical difficulties. Where we left off under tab C was item number 4, the investment management program for the county treasurer's office. We have Treasurer Cowan with us this morning, and good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Dressed a little casual today because we have the employee luncheon at 12 o'clock. Commerce Bank has offered to cook hamburgers for all the Sweetwater County employees, and Western Wyoming Beverage will be out serving Pepsi products. And we'd also like to thank Kelly's and Island Richards for donating chips for today's lunch. So we got that. This presentation today is in regards to a new program that we'd like to take advantage of in the treasurer's office. When I arrived in the treasurer's office, we were monitoring all of our investments on a simple spreadsheet, which can be effective, but not as effective as what I'd like to see happen. So I started reaching out to some of the other treasurers, and this program called Tracker is a program that allows us to track our investments a little bit more in depth. And so we can see what's happening, especially with all the changes in the market. So just wanted to present this to the commissioners and bring you up to speed on what we would like to see happen in the treasurer's office. So this first page is just kind of a quarterly investment report, which is what this program would help present. And I'd like to bring that to you quarterly. So that's just the first page. I'm just going to kind of go through these slides so you can see, and if you have any questions about what this program can or can't do, I'd try to answer those for you. So second page again is just more reporting, and this is the important stuff that we would like to keep track of in my office. Spreadsheet really doesn't provide this kind of data to us. It really just says, hey, you have this investment and it's going to expire at this time and you're going to get this much money back from it. So this stuff provides a lot more in-depth knowledge to the office and to you as well when we present these quarterly reports. So we can kind of track the curve here, which is important. Right now we're in an inverted yield curve. So there's more stuff that we can do rather than just following that sheet that we have now. And then we can project our cash flow as some of our investments come to term. So we can kind of track those a little bit better than through the spreadsheet. This report would also show all of our transactions. So if there are any questions that any of the commissioners might have, we can look at those transactions individually through this program. And then we can itemize those security types too. On the spreadsheet right now, it basically just says we have these securities. It doesn't really show us the types of securities that we're tracking. This is the cost for the annual cost for participating with this program. It's $4,700 annually. For about $2,000, they come in and they set it up. They take all of our investments, put them into the program so that we can track them. And then there's the annual program of $4,700. A lot of the treasurers are working off of something similar to this, or they're using a fiduciary. And the fiduciary is taking a fee off of them monthly to help pay for this kind of stuff. So this is, I talked to the treasurer in Evanston, and she said that she had just switched from a fiduciary to this, and it's going to save them about $25,000 this year because it's only $4,700 for this program. So with that, that's about the presentation on it. Any questions about the program and what we're trying to do?
Thanks, Mark. Any questions, commissioners?
It'll save at least one staff person, right?
A lot of headaches for one staff person, you know. There's a lot that goes into background and trying to get it onto the spreadsheet. We can just put in the QSIP number on these things, and it actually transmits all the data into this software for us. So we know exactly what's happening with that security, which is pretty slick. So.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Slaughter.
Mark, having not had a chance to talk to you a lot about this, but a little bit, is this something that you can use strictly with fixed income products? Can you use it also with the limited liability pools that you're dealing with, or are you generating additional reports for those?
No, this will actually manage everything.
It will
Our bank
manage that also.
accounts, our pools with Wyoming Class, so everything can be input into here. So, which is great. I mean, so we have several bank accounts that are in interest too, and we can track all of those through this software, which is fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Jones.
Mark, just a quick question. Maybe I missed it in here, but were there other products you looked at, or was this the only one? Or is there a reason why this is the one you want to go with?
There are several other products out there that are a little bit more expensive. This one had the most in-depth and was comprehensive. Most of the other products dealt with just specific security types. This one actually allows us, like I just talked to about Commissioner Slaughter, a lot of those just focus on those securities that you're investing in. This one allows us to actually bring in all of our bank accounts, all of our pools, and anything else that we're doing. So this one seemed to be the most comprehensive.
Thank you.
Any implementation issues with IT or anything like that?
No, this is all through the cloud. And so with the $2,000 setup fee, they will go in, they're going to take all of our information, put it in there for us, and we'll be ready to rock and roll. We just have to maintain it from our office by inputting whatever investments that we're purchasing. So.
Any additional comments or questions, commissioners?
Yes, I do have one. The
Commissioner
fee
Jones?
includes all of those things that they listed out as separate price. It's all included in that.
That's correct. They do have some additional add-on things that we could add on in the future, but this fee includes everything that we wanted at this time. So there are some additional things that we could pay for if we wanted to have unlimited users. We could actually pay for the commissioners to have access to it so that if you all wanted to log in and look at it at any time, you could. So there are some additional things that we could pay for in the future, but this fee would cover everything that we want to do with the software at this time.
So if you wanted the additional modules, those would be additional prices then.
That's
Okay.
correct. Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, just a comment, going back to my previous life. When we were tracking the investments at the county during my tenure as treasurer, this was one of the things that I would have liked to have had the ability to have everything in one place. We had, for our fixed income investments, we had a group that would provide similar information for this, but we could not put it all together. And when I would present to the county commissioners, I always felt that the information that I was bringing was somewhat lacking. What I did find, however, was that the commission was very rarely interested in what those specifics were behind the scenes. But I think it's an extremely valuable tool for the treasurer. I think it's something that we could certainly use. And I think if we chose to allow it to be beneficial for us as a commission, it could be very beneficial for us also. So I see it as a real positive.
Commissioner Tillman?
The general ledger interface, would that be something that would be helpful or not that big of a deal?
It could potentially be helpful in the future. We have so many interface problems with our general ledger now and IT. We'll have to see how this goes. We'll start soft and see what happens. I don't want to mess up any of this interfacing that we have struggles with now. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Very good. Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to invest in the, exactly whatever it's called, tracker
Tracker.
investment management program for the treasurer.
Do you have a motion to approve the investment management program for the county treasurer's office by Commissioner Toman? Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Richards. Any further discussion?
Yeah, just once again, just a quick discussion with respect to this. I'm very much in favor of this, but Mark, is this something that you would have money currently within your budget to do? Is it something we would have to move outside? Would it be something we would talk to IT potentially about moving, or what's your plan for funding this during the current year?
So we do not have money in the budget for this, obviously. There are some areas in the budget where we might be able to move things around. So it might need to fall under IT eventually. We haven't figured out a budget strategy, but we do have some money in our budget that we can move around to fund this for now. Eventually, we may have to come back for a budget amendment to fund this if it comes out of the treasurer's office.
And that would be my thinking, if it could be something that he could move around at this point in time, rather than doing a budget amendment currently, we could do one later on that would be more appropriate if there are other things that we find that are necessary later on.
And those were my thoughts on it as well, which is why we didn't do a budget amendment with this. It was just, we'll try to make it work in-house. And then if we can't, with our budgets that we have, and if we can't, we'll address it later.
So you just paid the 1,900 whatever investment setup fee now, and then the 4,700 is the annual fee. Do you have to pay that up front also?
You do.
You do?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
We could pay that monthly, Commissioner Tolman. So if that was something that was a concern, we could pay it monthly.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we do have a motion and a second on the table. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous.
Thank you very much. We'll see
Mark.
you at lunch.
Thanks for setting that up too. We appreciate that.
You bet.
And we're a little bit jealous that you were able to dress casual today. Next, under tab C is item number 5. We've got the authorization to appoint a special prosecutor. With us today, as always, is our Deputy County Attorney, Mr. John DeLeon. Hand it over to you, John.
Yes, you have in front of you a resolution to appoint a special prosecutor. Occasionally, Mr. Mosby will determine that there is a case that he received that may have the appearance of a conflict or an actual conflict. In those cases, he will reach out to another county attorney, ask for them to review and potentially address that case. In those situations, we come to the board, ask for the board's approval, for your consent to engage that special prosecutor. As such, we would ask for a motion to approve resolution 23-08 CC-02.
Questions on the resolution, commissioners? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve resolution 2308 CC-02, authorizing the appointment of a special prosecutor.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Richards.
So moved.
Got a motion to approve by Commissioner Richards. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Thanks, John. Next up under tab C is item 6. We've got the approval of amendment 1 to the BYE 23-24 Community Juvenile Services Board Grant Contract. We've got Christina Marshall today, the county grants manager, and Karen Kelly, the director of county juvenile probation. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning. And special hello to Commissioner Jones. Nice to see you. So as the chairman mentioned, we have 2 amendments. This first one, all right, get situated here. So the Wyoming Department of Family Services previously awarded Sweetwater County $123,877 for the period of July 1, 2022 through June 30th, 2024. The Community Juvenile Services Board, or CJSB, oversees project recommendations for this grant funding and requires no grant match. So the purpose of the funding is to quote unquote, establish, maintain, and promote the development of juvenile services and communities of the state aimed at allowing early identification and diversion of children at risk of entry into the juvenile court system and preventing juvenile delinquency. So the funding of the grant was approved for projects, including sending employees from the Wyoming Department of Family Services, Southwest Counseling Service, Sweetwater County Department of Juvenile Probation, and Sweetwater County Attorney's Office to a national conference of juvenile justice. The second project approved was the Sweetwater County Juvenile Needs Assessment, in which the results will be presented to you all. And third, $32,877 has not yet been allocated. We're hoping the juvenile needs assessment helps give some ideas. You may be thinking, how can you not spend that money? Well, it's hard to address juvenile issues without creating new programs, only to not have funding to sustain it. So there's careful thought put into that. So the actual reason for this Amendment 1 is to only add some community juvenile services responsibilities to the grant contract in accordance with state statutes. I've listed them out for you. These include to provide, again, for juvenile services in the community, needs screening and evaluation, treatment planning and follow-up, case management, family preservation services, mental health treatment, substance abuse treatment, mentor and tracker services, community services and restitution programs, out-of-home placements, remedial and special education services, and pre-trial diversion programs and graduated sanctions. So with that in mind, I'm very pleased to mention that all these services are currently happening in Sweetwater County, with the exception of mentor and tracker services, which will be analyzed going forward. Information on the Sweetwater County Community Juvenile Services Board is on the county's website. And in case you didn't know, our very own Karen Kelly, Director of Juvenile Probation, was appointed by the commission to serve on that board. So with that, in your packet, you have Amendment 1, and you also have the original grant contract that was approved. I'm happy to answer any additional questions, or Karen, who's the juvenile specialist, is also here to answer any questions.
Thanks, Christina. Always detailed as usual. Any questions for Christina or Karen, commissioners?
Okay, Mr. Chairman, then, I know you love pop quizzes.
Uh-oh.
So what is the preferred color to sign this contract or amendment with?
The good news for you is I only sign in blue, so we're good to go there.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions on Amendment 1, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Richards.
I move to approve Amendment 1 to the BYE 2324 Community Juvenile Service Board Grant Contract and authorize the chairman to sign.
Do you have a motion to approve Amendment 1 by Commissioner Richards? Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Next up under tab C is item number 7. Thanks, Karen. The approval of Amendment 1 to the FFY 2023 TANF CPI grant contract and subcontract. With us still is Christina Marshall.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. The Wyoming Department of Family Services also previously awarded Sweetwater County $50,000 in TANF CPI funding that required no cash match and has to be expended by September 30th, 2023. The reason for this amendment is twofold. One, to extend the term of the contract by 1 year until September 30th, 2024, the federal fiscal year. And then second, to award Sweetwater County an additional $50,000. So that increases the total biennium award to $100,000. So in Sweetwater County, TANF CPI funding is passed through to Climb Wyoming to carry out the program objectives. Those are to provide assistance so that children can be cared for in their own homes. Second, reduce the dependency of needy parents by promoting job preparation, work, and marriage. Next, to prevent and reduce the incidence of out of wedlock pregnancies. And finally, encourage the formation and maintenance of two-parent families. So as I mentioned, Climb Wyoming is awarded $50,000 in this amendment. They will use it specifically to train and place single mothers in careers that successfully support their families and move them towards self-sufficiency. They also will provide ongoing case management. They anticipate having 50 new recruits in the next year with 20 enrollments to the program, 10 ongoing enrollments, and 35 graduates. So a note, services provided under this grant are limited to Wyoming residents, U.S. citizens, or legal permanent residents, households with at least one dependent child, and who do not exceed 185% of the federal poverty level. I have two more points for you. So on the first attachment I included in your packet, just like to show that a household size of one person under this grant could have an income of up to $26,973 to receive services. Next, I just recently worked on their quarterly report that's required with the grant. They just had 9 participants graduate from CDL truck driving training. So hopefully we'll see them on our friendly roads in Sweetwater County. So with that, if you have any questions, I'd like to answer them for you. And I have included all the legal documents attached for this amendment.
Thanks, Christina. Any questions on these amendments, commissioners? Always good to receive additional funds.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Richards,
move to approve Amendment 1 to the FFY 2023 TAMF CPI grant contract and Amendment 1 to the FFY 2023 TAMF CPI subcontract with Climb Wyoming and authorize the chairman to sign.
And I would like to second that motion. I think it's one of the greatest programs that we fund because we see actual results.
we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Richards. We've got a second by Commissioner Toman. Any further discussion?
Well, I must correct that. I guess we don't fund it, but we get the grant money to fund it. So thank you, Christina.
Welcome.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Christina. Appreciate it. Moving right along, Christina got us caught up on time, so we appreciate that. We're on to item 8 under tab C. We've got resolution 2308 CC03, approving 307 Horse Racing Incorporated to conduct pari-mutuel wagering on live horse racing, historic horse racing, and simulcast events at 1030 Dewar Drive in Rock Springs, Wyoming. With us today, I believe we've got Vice President Kyle Ridgway and CEO Jack Greer in attendance. And would you guys like to present? Morning.
Good morning, commissioners. My name's Kyle Ridgway. I'm the vice president of 307 Horse Racing, and I'm chief operating officer of its parent company, 307 First, which is a Wyoming owned and operated investment holding group who partnered with Jack Greer, president of 307 Horse Racing, who founded the company a number of years ago and needed some capital to help grow it, with the idea that we could actually have one of these historic horse racing businesses in Wyoming that was owned and operated by people that live here. So we're excited to come to this community. I've got to tell you guys, we were listening to the meeting on the way in. This is our 9th or 10th different county commission meeting, and you guys run a really professional meeting compared to some that we've been to. So we appreciate that. I was impressed at how well you guys are hitting your numbers on the clock. So the resolution that we've submitted, we really believe in local control. I know there've been some issues historically in this county with some history with the other 2 operators that we're not affiliated with. But this resolution that we have in front of you is a version that we worked with Converse County and Natrona County on most recently, where we're basically consenting to some local control and some reporting requirements for us to be in your community. We know there's a lot of issues related to counties and what their abilities are to supervise our operations. And so we've taken language that we used in Converse County and Natrona County, and we're bringing that to you with the idea that hopefully we can get potentially some legislative change here this session that makes it clear that these county permits operate similar to liquor licenses in certain respects. So we have put in there how many machines we're capped at putting in this facility. We come and report to you biannually with our numbers, our performance. We get feedback from the county officials and other local officials as we operate on whether there's any problems with the location. And then we have a review period for you. So we think that's a show of good faith from us when we're coming to these communities, that this is how these resolutions should work in many respects. And we're proud of the fact that we're willing to agree to some level of local control and local reporting requirements, whether we're required to or not. We're putting it in there and we're willing to come out here and meet with you and talk to you. But I think the biggest facts related to us, which Jack can talk more about our race meet and some of the other things, is that we are Wyoming owned and operated 100%. We have currently 8 operating locations around the state, all of which are in good standing. We have a location in Gillette, a location in Sheridan, 2 locations in Casper, 1 in Cheyenne, 1 in Rollins, 1 in Douglas, and 1 in Riverton. So in all of those communities, we have liquor licenses that we've been in good standing with. We have good relationships with the counties and local law enforcement. We haven't had issues with any of our facilities in those locations. And a lot of that, I think, is because we have skin in the game when we're in these towns. We live here. Jack and I are both from here. I grew up in Casper and went to Kelly Walsh High School, so don't hold that against me. And then practiced law in Wyoming for about 10 years before I came to start working with our parent company, whose mission is to find and own Wyoming businesses and help grow Wyoming businesses, so we're not shipping all our jobs and capital out of state. So in short form, that's kind of the summary of what we're here for. We have the facility under contract, and one of the contingencies is to receive approval from you so that we can go forward and obtain the liquor license approval from the city of Rock Springs and then get a gaming commission approval, hopefully. So I'm here to take any questions. Otherwise, I'll let Jack talk to you guys a little bit about what we do up in Gillette with the race meet specifically, and how much we've grown that part of the industry, and how much of this money is focused on horse racing itself.
Thanks, Kyle. Yeah, go ahead, Jack.
Jack Greer, Chairman, Commissioners. Yeah, just wanted to highlight again, local ownership. I'm 5th generation Wyoming, 5th generation horse racing people. Very passionate about the industry. We want to make sure money stays here and money gets allocated to these races. We broke a couple records this year. We ran the most races in a single day in Gillette this year. We distributed the most purse money in a single day in Wyoming history this year. So just a couple of highlights that I wanted to share with you all that proves that we're putting our money where our mouth is, and would look forward to the opportunity to be here in Sweetwater. So we'll stand for any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Questions, commissioners? Any questions?
No questions, but Mr.
Comments?
Chairman,
Mr.
Mr.
Richards.
Chairman, I appreciate y'all coming here. I believe in competition, and I believe having another person in another company in the space will do good things for Sweetwater County. I appreciate your willingness to compromise with your proposed resolution, though I marked it up a little bit this morning. So I'm going to move we adopt this resolution, but with some amendments. I've distributed copies of my proposed amendments to you, but I'll go through them really quick here, Mr. Chairman. All the whereases I left the same. Under paragraph 1, just a conforming amendment, identifying the board as the Board of County Commissioners. On to paragraph 2, another conforming amendment, crossing out commission, just replacing it with the board. Number 3, I struck a few words and rewrote it to read, "This approval is specific to the operator and may not be transferred in any manner without prior written approval of the board." So conforming amendment there. Number 4, I struck a little language switched the first sentence to approvals granted by this resolution shall be for a term of 3 years. And I struck everything beyond that. And I hope you'll understand the reason is if you don't open for 3 years, I don't want to start a resolution 3 years from now. So my amendment just makes it 3 years. So get it open. Don't wait. No changes to number 5, number 6. First sentence stays the same. I struck all the language after that. I don't feel that we as a board need to restrict our future rights or the future rights of future boards. And then number 7, I struck the language saying during any term, and it just says the board shall have the right to revoke this or any other subsequent resolution for the permittee. And then I struck the word only and left the rest for good cause. So those are all the changes that I made and would like to be part of my motion to approve this resolution.
Sounds like we do have a motion to approve resolution 2308 CC03 as amended. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, discussion, gentlemen, in looking at this with these amendments, does this create huge heartburn for you moving forward?
Have you seen these amendments? Other
I
than what was
have
read?
not, but I can take a look at them in a couple of minutes, like very quickly here. I was listening and I didn't hear anything that sounded like a major problem, but let me take a look at it really quickly.
Mr. Chairman, me and Attorney De Leon did a lot of this bright and early this morning.
While they're reviewing, John, I just had probably a question for you. I know the legislature has authorized this, and to an extent, I mean, we could approve or disapprove of this proposal or this resolution, but being that we've already had a few that have came forward, there is no limit. Am I correct in that, as far as if you have multiple businesses that want to come forward and create these pari-mutuel agreements, it's kind of you either allow or you don't as a whole. Do I understand that right?
Yeah, so there is no limit to answer that question. In terms of, what are the criteria for disapproval? That hasn't been, I guess, fully vetted. There are definitely some criteria that are used by the Gaming Commission when they review. And so some of that same criteria you would think would be applicable if there was a scenario where a denial was being considered. So there still could be some scenarios that would arise that could lead to a denial. A denial is one of your options, and therefore there must be some reason to allow for that. But again, it would have to be for an accurate reason.
Yeah, I just asked just more for, my knowledge. I was reached out to kind of last minute on the process to go about this. And my understanding is basically what you just elaborated on, if we are to not allow it, there would have to be, some strict cause for that or reasoning for that. And also, if I understand it, so if we approve today, then you also have to go before the Gaming Commission for approval. Is that right?
Correct. That's correct.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Toma?
then any money we'd get back would come back through the Gaming Commission from your proceeds?
That's correct. They facilitate all the collection of those funds. So every Wednesday we send them a check and then they turn around and they distribute it to all the counties on I think quarterly, maybe. I don't know how often they distribute it, but they facilitate all the collection of tax payments and then the redistribution of the counties.
And you said it's a Wyoming-based company, so you're not tied to the Las Vegas groups or anything like that?
That's correct. We're based out of Casper and Gillette. I did read the resolution and we don't have any issues with the changes. It's just simplified, which is fine.
Did that answer your questions, Commissioner Slaughter? So, we have had public comment, but I know the Jenkins family was one that reached out to me this morning. Are you guys okay with your presentation if I allow them, since they traveled over, to just make a comment on that? This is your time and you have 30 minutes slotted, so I don't want to interrupt any of your time on that, but I do feel like it would be appropriate to allow them to speak to it if.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with letting the public speak. I mean, what I'll say is, we're from here, we stand by our product. I know there's a lot of confusion with skill games, which are a completely separate thing from us, which we have no affiliation with. There are 3 companies in this space. 2 of them are out-of-state companies, Wyoming Horse Racing and Wyoming Downs, and then there's us. And so sometimes we face a little bit of an uphill battle when we come to communities because they think that what we're going to do is the same thing that these other folks have done, which hasn't been the case in a community that we've been in. In many of our locations, we offer really nice restaurants. All of our staff, all of our full-time staff are fully benefited with health insurance, 401k and everything else. We're a Wyoming-based company, so if the money's not getting reinvested in horse racing, it's getting reinvested here in Wyoming. And we think since we've kind of come on the market since 2021 and opened locations over the last 18 months, the competition has helped heal the industry a little bit in terms of making these other folks put more money towards the race meets, clean their facilities up, buy games, and invest in the facilities more. And we think that by coming here, especially with the locations that are currently in this county, we think we can help bring the product base up. And so the location that we've already selected has been rehabbed pretty significantly on the inside, and we're going to continue to fix the property up and make it a nice first-class establishment. And so we have a clean record with law enforcement. We run tight facilities. We want our employees to be happy when they work there. So just a little bit more about us, but yeah, I don't have any problem with the Jenkins family speaking or saying their piece.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle. Yeah, and I mean, I don't want this to get into a debate because they did go through the effort to get on the agenda, but they do have 30 minutes slotted. We're about 13 minutes into that. So at this time, if you'd like to approach, please state your name for the record.
How's it going? My name's Jordan Jenkins. I am 3rd generation born in Rock Springs, graduated from Rock Springs High School, played sports here. I'm also 3rd generation of Jenkins music that has been in this community since 1969. And we are a small business helping other small business. Our concerns aren't with these guys specifically. I mean, if anything, we advocate for them being a Wyoming-based business more than the out-of-state guys. Like they said earlier, skill games are very different from their games that they produce. Ours are limited to 4 per bar. And so that you keep the small town feel of the bar, as we do traditional stuff at the bar, pool tables, dart boards, pool leagues, any of that. Our main concerns are coming from, and that's who I'm representing today, is local bar owners that have been here for multiple generations, local pool players that play with their grandkids, their daughters, their nieces, their nephews. Our concerns are, how far are we going to allow this to go for our community? What do we want to see? I mean, in towns of like Casper, I know these guys have 15 spots, but there's 15 mini casinos. There's a very big difference between your local bar that you like to go and grab a drink with after work. But compared to these mini casinos, I mean, we already have 2, and then their plans with H&H makes it 3 in the Sears building with another company. We are just concerned that it's going to get to a point where we have a mini casino on every corner of our towns. And I don't think that's the Wyoming that we want, or the Wyoming that I would say a majority of people want in our town. Our company, we've donated to local athletics, hospitals. We are this place is my home. I've been here, don't plan on leaving. So we just don't want to see it change to an extent to where we don't like it anymore, don't like what it is. I'm sure these guys are going to come in and do great work, and we trust on all that. It's just, and we're not asking you to deny them today. We're just asking you table it until we get more information. I'm sure the economic benefits of them coming in is going to be great for the community. But that's not the only thing that matters here. We want our local people to it still be their hometown. I mean, the world's changing at such a crazy pace that's why I think people love Wyoming. Is the last place to change. So we just would like you guys to just table it for now and get more information and see how it's going to truly affect the community, not just on an economic standpoint, what the community feedback is. If you guys want another meeting, we found out this morning, that's why I'm not dressed in appropriate apparel. But I mean, we've been getting calls all over from I think everywhere in the county, from every bar and we have has concerns that they're scared that it's going to hurt their local business. So we would just like you guys to respectfully table it, get more information before you make a decision today. So thank you, commissioners.
Thanks, Jordan. We appreciate the background and explanation on that. Any further discussion, comments, or questions, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Richards.
Jordan, I appreciate your comments. However, I don't believe it's our role as elected officials to limit competition for the sake of protecting an existing business from a future business. If that was the case, me and my private business, I run convenience stores. I would do everything I could to make sure that no other convenience store ever came to Sweetwater County.
Yeah, no, I understand that completely. And
hang on.
But it is our job and our statutory authority to determine whether or not we allow gambling and these types of establishments in Sweetwater County. But beyond that, courts have ruled that we cannot arbitrarily and capriciously just say no. A previous commission attempted to do that when the second competitor came into this marketplace, and the district court judge was very clear that they could not. Another case up in Campbell County went to the Supreme Court and basically clarified that the commissions have a limited role in this process. We can approve companies and we can approve licenses. Beyond that, the gaming commission is the one who decides whether or not they're an appropriate company beyond that. And finally, I think the problem that you're addressing needs to be addressed with the legislature. The legislature provide very broad and vague language providing this. I believe that the legislature should have been a little more restrictive in their rules and said that a company could only provide this service in a county where they actually provide live horse racing, not provide live horse racing in Evanston and get to have machines in Campbell County, not provide in Campbell County and have machines in Sweetwater. If you want to do machines in Sweetwater, you got to have, that's my belief. That's up to the constituents to go to their legislature and get changed. But right now we're operating under current legislation that gives us a very limited role. And I can't see a reason to either table or deny this, because I think they are good actors. I think they have a good plan. And I just can't see why it's our job to protect other competitors. Because I own 3 of those liquor licenses that you're talking about, though I'm not in the bar space. And I don't think it's appropriate for me to try to protect myself from competition. Competition's a natural thing. It's going to come in, you adapt or you sell or you go out of business.
Yeah, I agree with everything you say. Like, one thing I should have been clear on is we are not scared of competition. We've dealt with it since 1969, and there's a reason we're still here for our service and what we provide. Our concerns that we were saying is just, and the reason we came to talk to you is because you guys are from here. You are our people. You probably all know my family, know how long we've been in this community. I think that we just wanted to come here today to just list our concerns, list the concerns of not just bar owners, but pool players, dart players, people in this community that love going to their local bar. I think their main concern is, how far are we willing to let this go? How far is it going to go until, the mom and pop bar that's been around for 50 years is no longer and our community changes? So that's just reason we'd like you guys to I'm sure I know they've done everything legitimately and everything is on papers as it should, so there's no reason to deny or table. But I think that we just wanted to come here, list our concerns, list the concerns of the community, so you guys take some more time before just approving it. So that's all I have to say, but I agree with everything you said.
Yeah, and I think, some of the concern was what you mentioned. We just found out about it, I think yesterday when Sweetwater Now posted an article on it. We've obviously known, but statutorily, we're required to advertise our agendas via, the paper of record, newspaper. I don't think too many people read the newspaper. And so unless an online source grabs it, the word doesn't get out unless, you're a political nerd like us and get on the county websites and keep up, obviously, with what's going on. So we have been through, quite a bit of experience with this. We just approved one here a few months ago. And honestly, you're the first ones that have reached out in a form of opposition, which is kind of frustrating, but we appreciate you being here to express your concerns because that's what it takes. Otherwise, it's pretty straightforward for us. But I agree with, Commissioner Richards. I think the approval from the legislature is pretty vague in nature. And I do have concerns, moving into the future about what that means. And it's always more difficult to address them when they come than it is to think about that ahead of time. But it does seem odd that, we've approved a couple and now we've got another one here that's especially Wyoming based that, has a good plan put forth. And so, how do we deny them and approve the others? I agree. I think it's a gaming commission perhaps issue. And if not, it's definitely something that was probably rolled out a little prematurely at the legislature level. But that's my take on that. Are there any other comments? We are under discussion. We do have a motion and a second on the table. Any other comments, questions, commissioners? You guys have anything you want to add? We do have a motion and a second on resolution 2308 CC03, the approval of the 307 Horse Racing Incorporated to conduct parimutuel wagering on live horse racing, historic horse racing, and simulcast events at 1030 Dewar Drive in Rock Springs, Wyoming. All those in favor of the approval signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion is unanimous. Thank you, Kyle and Jack, for presenting today and coming over and staying within your time frame and under at that. The first request was for an hour, and I'm like, oh boy, I don't know if we got enough. We appreciate that. Pat, Jordan, we thank you guys for coming over, and we'll continue to keep our eye on it as well. These are for a period of 3 years, so that does give us a little, monitor power in that regard. And hopefully it's a successful thing for the community. But thanks for coming over to express your concerns. Commissioners, that does move us right along. We're about 7 minutes ahead of schedule. Next up is a break. If you're all good, we can continue on. If we need a quick break, we can take one. Everyone good? We don't have Gene here yet. So why don't we'll take a quick 5-minute break. I'm sure he's watching, and we'll come back here at about 11:30 to resume with item 10 under tab C. So 5-minute break. All right, we were out of break, left off at item 10 under tab C, which is a quitclaim deed to the city of Rock Springs for a parcel of land within the north one, second northeast quarter of section 20. So yeah, we've got Public Works Director Legursky with us this morning, who's going to go over this. Morning, Gene.
Morning. Thank you. Chairman and fellow commissioners. What you have before you is the first of a quitclaim deed. This is something I talked to you guys back in March or April about. And what this is this first parcel of land is out, if you guys know where the original county part or their county fair was, out by the baseball fields. We've done a continued lease with the city of Rock Springs for their paintball facility. And it's just one of those ones where we own a parcel of land that's in the middle of the city of Rock Springs. There's no reason to own that. And we just have to keep renewing a lease. So where this is at is actually showing up there. If you guys look at it, it's very far back. You can see where the baseball fields are and everything like that. I can zoom in. It's just for a parcel of land that was a remainder piece that was been, like I said, left over forever. It was actually a bigger piece. The city of Rock Springs actually owns that piece all the way around it. And then BLM's to the further east of that. So what we're doing is we're quit claiming that piece over to the city of Rock Springs, that are their existing paintball facilities on there. And instead of just doing a 2-year lease and keep renewing it, just end up giving that back to the city of Rock Springs.
How was that parcel left out? Do we know?
Who knows?
Yeah.
I did the research on it and it was ugly. And they're all remainder pieces from the UP. So it gets really convoluted really fast.
Any questions on the quitclaim deed for Gene, commissioners?
Maybe we should give him the soccer field too.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Richards.
I move to approve the quitclaim deed to the city of Rock Springs, allow the chairman to sign all necessary documents.
Second.
Do you have a motion to approve the quitclaim deed by Commissioner Richards? We've got a second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Next is another quitclaim deed, excuse me, to the city of Rock Springs for a portion of lots 1 through 5 of block 10 of the Prospect Heights addition to the city of Rock Springs. Got Gene with us here still.
Again, this is another strange remainder piece. It's up behind, in between the cemetery and the old C Street Hospital and the old hospital in Rock Springs. If you look at the aerial that we have. Sorry, it looks way closer on the computer than it is on your guys' screen. You'll notice the water tank that sits up on the hill that has tertiary water that feeds to the cemetery for their sprinklers and everything like that. The city of Rock Springs owns all of that. We own the piece around that. They're looking for, extra areas and stuff like that to store stuff for the cemetery. It's not doing us any good. We have an old garage up there that actually has light bulbs in it. That's really it. So there's no reason really for us to have this piece of land again. It makes sense to, give the rest of the land around that to the city of Rock Springs so they can use it when they redo the tank or do other work. They don't have to get a hold of us and say, hey, can we use your land, and come up with an agreement. When we did have the C Street office buildings, if you guys remember, long time ago, family planning, all that kind of stuff, there was trailers up there and everything like that. This is where they were located. So right now we have nothing other than the old shed, old garage that's located up there. So we'll give everything, if you guys approve, to the city of Rock Springs, including the garage.
What about 731 C Street?
I tried to work that in the deal along with a road out by Red Horse Oil. And Paul said no.
As I recall, when you brought this to us before, Gene, wasn't there some form of a kind of trade we were thinking about with a couple areas, or?
Yeah, we're working on that. And then the other one is with the C Street Library. To clean all of that up and get that, but that one's a little more convoluted because, Blairtown used to go through there, used to be a Carnegie Library. The other half of it was a Mormon church, and now it's the Fine Arts Center. Thank you. and stuff like that. So that one's a little bit more convoluted. So
Okay.
we'll be working through that this fall and getting all that strained away too.
Very good. Any questions on this quitclaim deed, commissioners? If not, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Richards?
find it here. I move to approve the quitclaim deed to the city of Rock Springs for RS lots 1 to 5, whatever, and allow the chairman to sign all necessary documents.
You have a motion to approve by Commissioner Richards. Do we have a second?
Mr. Chairman, I would second that.
Got a second by Commissioner Toman. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Next up, item 12 is resolution 2308 EN01, resolution to consider vacating a publicly dedicated alleyway. And back to Gene.
So this is out in Jamestown, and we were approached 6 or 8 months ago by a person who lives out there, and he's actually interested in re-subdividing a portion of the land he owns. If you guys know where Texas Travel Camp is, that's immediately to the north across 5th Street. Everything down to the south is his. That's all the stuff that's highlighted in yellow is actually owned by him. And what he really wants to do is where the red beige roof is and the alley and then the stuff to the east, he would like to vacate that alley that was platted 80 years ago. And then combine all of those and then re-subdivide all those into 3 different lots instead of the 12 lots that they are. In order to do this, we have to have a public hearing. It's a vacation, just like we do the creation of a county road. So what this is just the resolution to basically go forward with the public comment period, the appointing of the viewer. I would like to appoint Andy Hooten as the viewer. He doesn't have any, bias in this or know really anything about it. Really what it is making sure there's no utilities in there. I think it totally makes sense. It's just making sure there's no utilities in there and there's no objections from the surrounding neighborhood. And then we'd bring this back before you guys and go forward with that if you guys so choose.
I have
Okay,
a question.
Commissioner Toman.
There's no need for a fire access or anything like,
We'll look into that and that'll be part of the
Oh.
viewer report. Right now, there is an access. You can actually see the road off of Washington Street that goes back and then actually goes, if I can zoom out here, hold on a sec before I mess everything up. The access right off there off of Jefferson Way goes down and accesses both sides of that. So that would be something that the viewer would cover and we'd actually look at. And also I would like to put in stipulations that, if this doesn't go through unless he really subdivide it. If he comes back through and plats it like he wants to, it makes total sense. If not, just leave it as it is.
Any other questions for resolution 2308 EN01, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Richards?
move to approve resolution number 23-08-EN-01, a resolution to consider vacating a publicly dedicated alleyway.
You have a motion to approve resolution 2308 EN01. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones, original motion by Commissioner Richards. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous.
Sounds
Thanks,
good.
Gene.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. That does move us right along. Looks like we get a little extra time for lunch. Today is the Employee Appreciation Barbecue. So our next agenda item is at 1 o'clock with Southwest Counseling Service. They've got 4 different standard form of agreements for us today, but we will go ahead and break until 1 o'clock to finally enjoy lunch and get to spend time with our most valuable assets. We will break until 1 p.m.